welcome to a Tuesday night special. First of all, let me introduce my little panel. We have Palm next to me. Good evening, Palm.
Good evening, Tickers. Good evening, everyone.
And we have Batch Guitar. Good evening.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
So tonight we have a special guest. He has an extremely enviable collection of military watches. I found out about this gentleman because I think he did an article on him. At that time, he had 13 Milsubs. Now, those who know me, a Milsub is my Grail watch, and he's got a lot of them. So we asked him to come on the show and discuss his wonderful military collection. So let me introduce the gentleman. The gentleman's called Grahame Fowler. Good evening, Grahame.
Good evening.
And thank you for coming on the show. What I'd like to ask you first is how you got into collecting watches, especially military watches, please.
Oh, yeah. Well, my dad was in the army, so I was around military bases and various military personnel, and I always, first thing I noticed was like the NATO straps. That was the thing that attracted me to watches. And then when I was a kid growing up in Yorkshire, I saved all my money up and I bought a Timex military watch. And I was quite young as well at the time. I was about 13. And I kept that watch forever. But as the years went on, I began to see more and more military watches because I'd moved south. Then I was near Brighton, and I was taking trips to London at the weekend, especially Portobello Road, and I was seeing stuff for sale, and it was always like subconsciously there. And then once I was living by the Portobello Road, I was buying pieces, not really knowing what they were, but I was just interested in the style and the simplicity of the pieces, coupled with the fact that they were, issued to the military was of interest to me. Yeah.
Wow. So were you? Did you say your father was in the army then? Was he?
Yeah, he was in the Royal Signals. Yeah, he was based in Africa, so we were living in Africa for a while.
Wow. Did he have an issued watch? Was it something that they gave him? You can remember?
Yeah, I remember him wearing stuff, but honestly, when we returned to England, my mother and father divorced, so I would have been about 11 years old. So my recollection of him wearing a watch, on maneuvers and stuff, or at the camp, at the base, or whatever, would have been when I was about 6 to 8 years old.
Right.
So it was more about like the tanks and the guns and the colors and the ribbing and the webbing and the tents, and the cricket, the cricket in the afternoons,
Wow.
Yeah, so it was more about that really. But I did remember the NATO straps. They always struck me as being unusual.
Yeah, because I suppose if you see every other watch and any other person in a civilian setting, the NATO is something, there's no normal buckle, and it's got that bit on the side, and I can see what you mean about looking completely alien to you as looking at a normal watch strap.
Yeah.
Wow, excellent. So, you seriously got the Timex was your first military one. When did you start then starting your collection in earnest of your military watches then?
Well, I started buying stuff. I think the first one I bought was on the Portobello Road in Admiralty Arch, when you could actually buy them for 150 quid. And that was
Milsub.
Yeah. And that was
God.
Yeah, they were 150 to 200 pounds. And I bought one, but it was close to 5 months rent. And my ex-wife thought I was insane. And I hung on to that watch for a long time. And then at some point, I can't remember when, I probably sold it like 15 years later. and bought a car or something. You know, it was like it accumulated value to the extent that I could buy like an old Daimler with it. You know.
Yeah.
Wow.
And any regrets on that?
Yeah, I
in
wish I
reflection?
still had it because I could buy a house with it now.
Yeah, probably more than a house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Okay, so you've got some pieces with you, I take it, haven't you, Graham?
Yeah, I've got a few pieces. I mean, this is one that's just on my wrist. I'll just take it off.
Please, yeah. I'm gonna put you full screen, Graham, and if you could tell me basically when you
Yeah, there it is. That's
the story behind this watch.
Yeah,
all the watches, actually.
That's an MN, actually.
Oh, it's a Marine. Oh, right. So it's a Rolex, not a Tudor, but it's an MN.
It's an MN, but it's a Rolex, correct? Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's new. Okay, yeah.
Is that rare? I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Normally the Tudors.
Yeah, this was a 67 watch issued in 68. There were only 100 issued, but it wasn't an official issue. It was an issue by the colonel of the Marine Nationale at the time, who handed them out at the end of the year to his favorite officers. And I've had 3 or 4 through my hands, and I have no reason to doubt that they're pretty legit.
Okay, so how did they get stamped up then? If they weren't, because I would have thought the factory stamped them up to get them. Who stamped them up then?
They stamped them up in Toulon.
Right, do they? Right.
There, yeah. And he went out into the marketplace and bought them privately. So they didn't come from Rolex. They came from various dealers, and then they were all etched up and given out at the end of, I think they were issued for 4 years. 25 were issued each year, or personal issue to officers that he liked.
So that's rare, then, isn't it? That is proper rare, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
I'm something new today. I didn't know they had Rolex.
Yeah, well, some people poo-poo them, but I've
really.
I've no reason to.
I definitely not.
I bought this one off the captain in Paris, and saw all the records, saw all his military records and everything. I no reason to doubt that watch.
Yeah.
This is another one, which is a Tudor, and it's
that's perfect. That's perfect. That wow.
Yeah, that's US Navy clearance diver.
US Navy clearance diver. Now again, I didn't know they had Tudors.
Yeah,
wow. What year is that then, please?
74.
That's 74, and they were issued in 74. Wow.
Yeah. That's I've got the papers with that watch as well.
How did you acquire that then?
Believe it or not, I bought that one quite recently at auction. I was watching it and no one was bidding on it, and I ended up just like leaving a bid on it, and I won it.
Wow. So
I'm
not quite as
stuff, whether I'm traveling or you find watches in the strangest places.
Oh wow!
Where's the strangest place you found one? Apart from that £150 one.
Yeah, I found a very rare, and I've only ever seen 3 others. It was a 1980 CWC manual watch, one of the first issued to the Royal Navy, and I found it in a like a 1950s shopping mall in the suburbs of Tokyo.
Was it a G10 or the diving one? Was it a diving one or G10?
Yeah, it was the diving one. Yeah.
Wow.
With the tiny T on the dial.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tiny
CWC on it with the number on the back and everything.
Wow.
And I've only ever seen 2 or 3 others, but I'd heard about this watch shop in Japan, and I had to take 3 trains to find the shop. And I found the shop, and it was full of like, modern stuff. But I walked around the mall and I found a little old guy in the back booth in the mall, and he was selling all American Vietnam era uniforms, helicopter pilots' helmets, seats, all kinds of stuff. And he had a tray full of watches, and this was sitting in amongst them.
Wow.
And he wouldn't take credit cards. So I had to run to the nearest ATM and use like 3 cards to draw out some cash and go and give him the cash and buy the watch. Well, the moment I saw it, I knew what it was. And I was like, whoa, that's interesting.
Did it have papers with it? Did it have papers with it and everything?
No papers. I mean, I've since sold that watch. I sold it for 10 times what I bought it for. So when it
nice move, yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
You can only wear one watch at a time, so it's silly having loads and loads sitting around. Here's another one. This is an interesting watch. I'll just put this
Okay, let's just put you full screen again, Graham. Thank you.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Is that a
That's
Lithium,
Rolex double reference W10.
The 5513/17 with W10 Army one. Wow.
Correct. Probably an SAS issue, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, that was an interesting watch.
That would have seen some serious action then. Yeah.
Yeah, this one had. Well, it's actually the back of it's been rubbed because whoever had it decided, like when he left the service, that he didn't want people to know what it was, so he rubbed the back. But that doesn't depreciate from the watch at all, in my estimate, because I've talked to a few ex-servicemen, and 1 or 2 of them have told me that they actually used to rub the backs when they went undercover ops, because if they got caught, they didn't really want anyone identifying the watch by the issue numbers on the back of the watch.
Yeah, W10 or 6BB, and you stuffed, aren't you, on the back there? So.
Yeah.
Can you still see some of it? Can you still see enough of it to make out his W10?
No, but the weird thing is the serial number is 20 numbers away from a watch which was sold about 6 months ago at auction. So it's part of the same batch. It's exactly
and that was W10. So obviously you know it. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
150 watches issued. Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's I like Rolex Milsubs. They're
yeah, so do I.
They're really interesting.
I mean the prices to go for now is just ridiculous, isn't it? It just really is way out of my price range.
It's like everything, if you'd bought an Aston Martin DB5, back in 1964, 65, you'd kept it. You now want to sell it. You'd be looking at serious money.
Yeah, $1.5 million, whatever, for a decent one. Yeah,
could be, and even more.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Watches really, to me, they're like sculpture. They're like art. They've appreciated in value. The audience has grown, and the audience with money has grown, and they've become highly collectible in their own right. Whether it's Patek, Omega, Rolex, Longines, all this vintage stuff has found a market. People have come along to it. Yeah, it's not dissimilar to art, really.
No.
Look what people pay for an Andy Warhol silkscreen print of Marilyn Monroe. 20 million.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's like crazy. And the watches in some cases is also the same. And then there's fewer and fewer of them around because of the 1,200, 1,300 Milsubs issued across the 3 references. How many good ones are left? How many are around that are in full spec? How many were lost, in service? How many have been just destroyed? I mean, how many are left? I don't know.
Discarded. You don't know. Yeah, that's the thing.
Maybe a quarter of them, 300-400, maybe.
How many in the bottom of the ocean?
Have you got that one with you? That one with the sand in? Is that with you?
Oh yeah, that's here. Yeah,
This is a remarkable story. I mean, how did you come across that that one?
Someone found this under the beach in Poole, where the SAS trained. They found it with one of those Geiger counters. And it was
SAS or SBS, sorry.
SBS, yeah.
SBS,
and then
yeah.
the guy that found it sold it to a friend of a friend, who then gave it to another friend, who took it to Rolex and basically had it reconstituted. In other words, it needed a new case and it needed but the dial and the hands are all original. And so it had washed around under the sand for probably 25 years.
Wow.
But yeah, I still have it. It's very hard to tell the time because it's like super camouflaged.
That's so cool though.
Yeah, that is so. Yeah, is that strap original? Did it have the strap with it, or the strap?
The strap actually came on another watch,
right?
Which I've since sold, but I kept the strap just because it was
part of the package as such. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I mean the straps now in their own right have become collectible.
Oh yeah, I know somebody who has them and he's selling ridiculous amount of money. He sells straps for.
Yeah,
yeah,
they're crazy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll show these three because these are interesting. This is these are three Omegas, the three Amigos.
Ooh.
So are they all same reference? Are they all 13s, 17s, or a mixture? Oh, Omegas, all right. Seamaster 300s, all right. I didn't realize you had Seamaster 300s.
Oh yeah. These are Omega 300s, and they're all military.
They're all military. Wow, I didn't realize you had those because they only talked about Milsubs in that.
Yeah, I know.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah, I've been buying and selling these for a while too, and these in their own right have achieved some decent numbers, and in a way these are rarer than the Milsubs because they were issued before the Milsubs, and this is 67.
67, right? Gotcha. Oh,
yeah. SAS 67, first batch issued. With the baton hands, no T on the dial because the first 50 had no T on the dial. But let me just show you the back quickly. Bought this off the squaddy actually. Yeah.
So are these recent purchases to your?
No,
this to your collection.
This I guess so. I mean, I don't show everything, but W10 67.
Yeah. Wow.
I bought that probably 6 years ago.
Wow.
Okay.
They're slightly cheaper than the Rolexes, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're coming into their own because when they were issued, they had such poor water porosity that water ingress destroyed a lot of the dials. So you don't find as many as you do Milsubs, actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
But they were less made. Were they less made? Were the less Omegas made than Milsubs?
They're about the same issued, about 1,500.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Across across all the services.
Yeah.
Helicopter pilots, divers, clearance divers, SAS, SBS, and even Australian helicopter pilots were issued them. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're very interesting. They've sort of.
Yeah.
I just bought another one, and it's on its way. Actually, it's going to arrive today. So if I go and get the doorbell, it's because it's
live unboxing. Wow, that'd be
good.
good.
Yeah, that'd be an exclusive.
Wow,
exclusive.
Exclusive. So what? Can you give us a clue? What is it you're getting then? What is it?
Yeah, it's 0552 with the T on the dial. Yeah, and the sword. Yeah.
Wow. So a navy issue then, a navy issue with a T on it. Yeah.
It's
Wow.
going to be interesting. Then what else? I mean,
just a really quick question. You know, you were referring to the Omega. You bought it from like ex-service.
yeah.
Like, did that come up for sale, or do you specifically like hunt down these pieces?
It came up word of mouth in the Ethernet. There's a bunch of people that know each other, and we turn each other onto stuff, and we go to watch meets and find stuff.
Wow.
And, yeah, I'd heard about this watch, and I wanted to see it, so I went. Yeah, I picked it up. I purchased it. You know, I paid the chap what he wanted. It was, you know, it was a fair deal, and he needed the money for an operation for his mother. So, you know, both parties were happy.
Do you take it that they didn't have to give them back then when they went out? They didn't have to hand them in, or was that?
You were supposed to. If you didn't, you were docked 150 quid from your pay when you left. But you know,
it's definitely worth that.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah. You know, at the time, it was just a watch for these guys. You know, it would go back after each mission, and then it would get serviced. So they would take the back off the watch, the movement out, the hands off, the dial out, and they would totally redo the watch. And that's why there's a lot of mismatched casebacks and watches floating around, because when they put them back together, they weren't terribly cognizant of, you know, mating each original watch with each original dial, hands, bezel. You know, they'd throw stuff on, you know, like a sword's bezel, because the bezel was broken. The loom had dropped out of the sword hand, so they stuck Mercedes hands on them. So they were, you know, it was sort of cobbled together when they went back out into the field and then were issued.
So that's going to devalue. So if you get one that's completely been out once, somehow the guy has kept hold of it and then left and get hold of, that's going to be the one that's worth a lot of money, then, isn't it? You'd imagine.
Yeah, I had. Well, that's the case. In the case of that one, yeah, the guy, that one was in his sock drawer for like 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So pristine.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's just.
Yeah. I mean, I've sold quite a few of these, you know, and they keep going up in value, you know. The important thing is that they have, you know, the correct bezel on them, the correct dial, the correct engraving on the back, and the correct movement number for the year, you know. And then you can get an extract from Omega, and it'll usually will say that it's been issued to the UK Ministry of Defence circa 1968 or 67 or whenever it was issued. Yeah,
I've got a question on the actual. I know they were given to soldiers and just functional use tools, but Rolex, was it not like a luxury item or Omega back in those days? Or I mean, I always thought the brand was kind of had a bit of luxury to it.
What, Rolex?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, absolutely. But they, you know, when the Omegas started to fail, they wanted something that was, you know, really more robust. So then they went to Rolex and had them spec the watch out. You know, there were certain things that had to be legible. The case had to be brushed steel, so it didn't reflect. The hands had to be legible, you know, at night. So that's why they had the sword hands. They needed a 60-minute bezel for countdown.
Fixed lugs and serration, a bigger serration on the bezel, the big serration. It looks like it's heavier on the outside. Yeah.
And also the 5517 is the only issue reference that was given out to the British Army, and the double reference too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So the SBS never had 5517. It was only W10 for the 5517, was it?
I'm sorry, say again?
Sorry, was it only W10s that came out as 5517s? It
Yeah.
never went to the. I didn't know that. I didn't.
Yeah,
That's a new piece of. Right. I thought it went across all of them, but only the army. Okay, that's interesting.
Or the double reference.
Yeah.
5517, 5513.
Why did they end up then? What was the case of how did the 5513, 5517 come about? What was the reason for that double reference?
Well, because they were primarily, etched for a certain regiment, and then they were like double stamped, so they could then be applied to other regiments.
Oh, okay, right, got you.
Wow, I'm looking at one on Chrono 24 double reference, and it's going for £150,000. My God, that's
incredible. $200,000. Yeah. They're up there. Anyway, I mean, the other thing I like as well is the issued watches with Comex.
Oh yeah, the Comex ones. That's right.
You have one. Awesome.
Oh yeah, wow. That's 1665.
Oh, right. Who was that issued to originally?
The divers who worked for Comex.
Oh right, okay. Notice it's on a bracelet as well, isn't it? So it's not fixed lugs NATO. It's got so that's more. Is that a more standard watch than what the others? Is it then?
Well, 1665 is I mean, Comex developed the Sea Dweller for Rolex. With Jacques Cousteau and various divers.
Okay.
And there are about 8 or 9 different models of Comex, and this one is a 600 meter one.
Right.
600 meter. Wow. Okay.
Matte dial, so it's not service dial. It's the first issue. And
wow.
These are pretty rare, actually.
Yeah.
So, Graham, for our viewers who don't know who Comex are, could you just give them an insight?
It no longer exists, or it might exist on paper, but they were an exploration diving company based out of Marseille. And a lot of ex-military divers would go and work for Comex once they'd left the Royal Navy or the Marine Nationale, and they would be issued watches that they would then wear on deep sea diving rigs and various underwater sea welding gigs, to keep the oil pipelines going. Wow. So they would go around the world. They would work in the North Sea. They would be based in Aberdeen. They would work in the Gulf Coast. They would be based down in Texas. They would work in the Mediterranean, or wherever there was oil being developed. Comex would help extricate the oil and keep the rigs going.
Wow.
I see. Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah. That actually leads to a question what I have about. I don't know if you own this watch. I just saw it on your Instagram, but the Rolex Bubble watch, the crazy diver.
Oh, wow. Yeah. No, I saw that because it was at Philips, and I went to look at it, and I had another watch there with me, and I couldn't resist the temptation to get a picture of it, because I think there were a few of those made. There are a few floating about, but they're fairly
They're fairly out there, aren't they? Yeah, they're fairly out there, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a proper tool watch. Yeah, it's not definitely not a fashion watch.
No.
What are your thoughts, Graham, on the current CWC PVD one, the one that's issued to the SBS currently? The black quartz PVD one.
Yeah. I've bought and sold a few of those.
Issued ones, have you? Yeah.
Yeah. They've. I don't have any at the moment. I've sold most of them. I mean, I just I sort of hang on to things that speak to me. Have a soul or whatever, and then other stuff I buy, I sell. People, sometimes people make me an offer, and it's sort of too good to pass up. So I move it on. Someone else to be the custodian. It's it's good.
Okay. So that leads into a
Okay,
question that I was going to ask you, and I'm hoping the answer isn't as generic as like trying to pick one of your favorite children.
Yeah.
Which of your subs, which
Yeah.
is your favorite, your Tudors or your Rolexes? Which are your personal? Which ones do you like the most?
I probably like this one actually. This one here.
Is that the one with the 007 reference on the back? No, it's
No,
not,
that's gone.
Mhm.
Yes.
Oh, it's gone. Oh, wow,
yeah.
it's gone.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's surprising.
Why is this your favorite?
Well, this is my favorite because if you look at the side there, it's a 5513, but it's an experimental watch. I'll just drop my earplugs. Hang on. There we go.
So you dropped the watch then? Panic station.
No, I'm sure it could take it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that one is. If you look on the side of it, you'll see all the splatter weld.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see
So
that. Yeah.
This was issued to Comex, and it was a chap that used to go and do welding on the rigs.
Oh, okay.
And if you look on the back,
Okay, let's go.
Just-
Yeah, in front of your
I forget,
face.
it's to
Yeah,
your right. Yeah.
to your right.
Slightly more
Yeah.
there. You can see Rolex and
Yeah.
there's a number there or something.
yeah, it's no.
Comex.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Rolex and Comex. Yeah, and the crown.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, yes.
It's all on the edge of the case. It's covered in splatter weld.
Wow.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I like
It's a story and a half there. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good
Have
talking
you
point.
got anything? Have you got any there that are not Rolex or Tudor? Any other? I think when we came in the room early to test, you put something in front of the camera that wasn't any of those two, from what I seem to remember.
Yeah.
Was it something? Was it one of the Dirty Dozen? I can't remember what it was. I just remember seeing
No,
something.
I don't have any of those.
Oh, right.
I have a fondness for Lemanias.
Oh, Lemania's okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What year are those?
Yeah, they're all different. They're all different years.
Wow.
Like
Oh,
early
beautiful.
60s to late 60s, nuclear sub ones,
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a few of those.
There was a few of them. I was
Yeah.
like,
Just,
one,
just
two, three,
yeah,
so
just a
cool.
small handful.
five of
yeah.
them. Just 5 of them.
Yeah, just a handful. I like the simplicity of the dial. They're very legible as a.
Oh, can you just hold one up to the camera right in front of your face if we come? So we're gonna have a quick look at it. Would you mind, please, Graham? It'd be lovely to see. Yeah. So, yeah, that's lovely. That it's very,
Yeah,
very, very
really clean.
very legible.
It is-
Oh, that's
so cool.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Vintage
that's
as well. The way the brand name Lemainia is just printed on it, so vintage.
Yeah,
looking.
that is
So
beautiful.
nice.
That I can see why you like those. They're really nice.
Yeah, that's
Um,
a nuclear sub watch. So all the indents are blacked out. No loom on it.
Oh,
Right.
that's fascinating.
Yeah.
And what's the damage on those pieces? In comparison to like the Rolexes and the
Oh,
Tudors.
they're much cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, I started buying them like, I don't know, like I bought my first one 15 years ago, and then I saw another one, and I bought that one, and then I saw. But I've never sold any, so I don't really know. I think the last one I paid like, I don't know, like 6,000 for, something like that.
Oh, so a lot more accessible. Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
Was that an HS9 that Lemainia you just had there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Here's the black version.
Your black versions as
There's
well.
one in every color. Yeah.
Yeah.
One in
The
every
full
colour.
rainbow. Yeah.
Oh. And are they submarine issue as well? Are they?
These, I can't remember what this one is. Let's have a look. This is 0552. So this is Royal Navy.
Well,
Probably.
no, is there any reason why one would be white and one with black? Do they issue white ones to certain regiments or certain?
The black
units?
ones were mainly helicopter pilots' watches. And
Okay.
the HS9 were sort of deckhands, helicopter pilots, submarines, but Royal Navy really.
Yeah, 0552. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I've got one more question that's kind of going a bit away from the military stuff, but more about yourself, really. I mean, you're a big collector of Lambretta scooters, I understand.
Yeah.
74, or is that number gone up now?
It's probably gone up a bit, but next week I got to pick some more up, and then I've sold 2. They've got to get shipped out, so I don't know. Always hovers around 60 to 70, which is sort of.
And what watch do you feel? Because it's a very cool look, the scooter. What watch do you feel best in driving on your Lambretta, riding along on your Lambretta?
Funny, I had a modern white gold Smurf Rolex, and I was wearing it. I was wearing it on the Lambretta, and I hit a oil slick patch on a roundabout, and I came off the bike, and I totaled the front of the bike, and I totaled the watch. Yeah.
Oh no!
It was all scratched and smashed, and anyway.
How long ago was that?
Oh Lord! When they first came out, like 12 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, ouch!
I mean, I buy the odd modern thing, but I'm not. I'm more in love with the older stuff,
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Do you collect anything else? So you've got Lambrettas and military watches. I know you like Do you like Land Rovers?
Yeah, I have Range Rovers, Land Rovers. I like those.
Do you collect Land Rovers?
Yeah.
Oh right. How many Land Rovers are in your collection then?
About 6. They're mainly Range Rovers, to be honest.
Oh, the Range Rovers,
yeah.
Are the ex-military Range Rovers?
No.
Oh right. Okay.
I did have the opportunity to buy the one that was used in the storming of the Iran embassy in 1980.
The Iranian embassy, the one they all piled out of.
The balcony. Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't buy it though. It needed too much work. They get expensive when you have to start restoring stuff. You got to buy parts. You've got to store them. You need garages. It's. I seem to spend my whole weekend driving vehicles to make sure they're all running. Whereas watches,
you could do worse.
Not like a watch, you just shake it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that is absolutely fascinating.
I like these as well. These, the Lemainia Vigans.
Oh, okay. So
let's have a screen 1 second.
Swedish pilots.
Ooh.
Also
Nice.
issued to Royal Australian Navy. Also issued to South African Air Force. These are very interesting.
Wow. Okay. So
great movement. I just picked up another one, but I'm like, anyone has a bezel.
I like that one. I do like that. The shape of that case, that cushion case.
Yeah.
It's a cushion case, I'm guessing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's missing the
Very
bezel.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. But it looks
right.
60s, 70s kind of, yeah.
If there's anyone out there with a bezel, I'm happy to buy it off you.
Okay, folks,
are you a member of that?
Bezel required.
Are you a member of the Military Watch Forum, Graham? There's like
MWR. I follow it, but I'm not like a big contributor or anything.
But there might be somebody in there who's kind of got one, maybe.
Yeah, there was someone, but he teased me, and then he like disappeared. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Have you before we wrap up? Have you got any more? Have you got any more there? You haven't shown us. There. I mean,
well, you know what?
Well, that must be the best table in the world that you've got there.
oh, this is
Yeah.
That's a Tudor.
That's a Tudor. I
Wow.
do love the Tudors. Marine Nationale, I'm guessing, is it?
Oh,
Or...
no, actually, this is Argentine.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Falklands War.
Oh, that's an actual Falklands War one, is it? Oh, on the Belgrano. I'm not taking it.
Yeah.
On that,
Wow.
was it?
Picked up from the ground. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And how did you find out about that one then?
Actually, I bought this off a chap who had two of them, and he sold one to a friend of mine, Ross, and he sold me this one. I just thought it was interesting because it's got a date on it.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the Cyclops on it. You know.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
With the military ones, would they not have a Cyclops though, just in case they got caught? Because obviously,
Correct. Yeah.
Wow, that is
Yeah,
amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So, out of all the Milsubs, did most of them come with the original strap? Then you say the ones you got, did you manage to get the strap with them?
If you can find the original owner that has the watch, he might still have it on the strap. But
yeah,
a lot of the times, the straps were changed when they were serviced as well.
Oh, you just took them out and just put another run. And I take it the Phoenix. Are they Phoenix original? Are the original?
Yeah.
Are they Phoenix one? They are. Yeah. Admiral Grey Phoenix one.
Yeah. This is a rare piece actually, because this is a matte dial 16800 Comex Submariner.
There it is.
1984 sapphire crystal matte dial.
That's a beauty.
Yeah, one of 25 issued. And one day back service, when Comex sent them back to Rolex for service, Rolex put gloss dial in them. So there's only about six. There's only about 6 of these left.
Wow.
In the wild. Yeah. I've had a couple. And this one has full box and papers. Yeah, this is a big ticket.
Wow. If you ever wanted, you've got your pension well sorted out, haven't you? Crikey, you know what I mean? Without even having to sell all of them. I mean, just like a few of them. It's like, wow, that's beautiful, Yeah,
I guess. Yeah, like I said, it's amazing how, I mean, I have friends who have way more watches than I have, and they've been doing it longer than I have, and they, they're sitting on, some serious coin. But it is amazing how that watches have sort of come into their own in terms of value, and not just watches, but parts as well. I mean, the price for the sword hands and the 60-minute bezel for a correct one is big money, crazy money.
Yeah.
What sort of money is it? What we talking? I have no idea. Just give us some kind of.
You can pay 50,000-60,000 just for the bezel.
Wow.
You could pay
25,000
just for the hands. Yeah.
Wow.
There's a whole
insane.
There's a whole world of people constantly looking for original parts.
Yeah, and you got to be careful with fake. I mean, you look at that military watch forum, and the number of people, people spot one that's You've got to be really sharp, like yourself, to know what to look for when it's fake or not. You look at something and you think,
Yeah,
what they're looking at. You know,
yeah,
why?
exactly. There are a lot of fakes, and then the other thing is, knowing how to spot them, and the fakers are getting really good actually. And then if you're really unsure about it, knowing who to get in touch with, to authenticate something, to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, I've asked the question. I mean, I've said, look, I'm not interested in buying it, but can you educate me? How I always ask the question, we can you tell me? Can you explain more why it's just to get the education of why it's a fake, and
well, some people, if you have a certain amount of knowledge, you don't want to put it out there too much, how to reference stuff, because you never know who's listening or watching. Or
the fakers will see, and then they'll take that information and they'll make it even better.
Exactly. I mean, when I first started collecting this stuff, we used to have get-togethers in England. We'd all arrange to get together and meet. I think one of the first meetings was up in Chester somewhere in some hotel, and I think there were 10 people in the room. And now it's like, you can go to a meeting and there might be like 200. It's grown exponentially, and to the point where it gets a bit, we used to have big COMEX meetings as well in the south of France, but they've sort of, been reined way back because, quite a few people have been robbed. They've been assaulted, they've been robbed, stuff's been stolen, it's
risky game.
Yeah.
One last question from me, Graham. Sorry. Do you go out looking for these pieces that you found, or do you stumble upon them, or is it a bit of a combination of both? Which is more the case, that you're going out looking for specific items, or you just luckily find them?
Yeah, I mean, I might have an inkling of where to look for something, or I might know someone that I sold a watch to that wants to sell it back to me, or I might know someone that wants a watch that I know someone else has that I can buy back and resell, or I'll keep an eye on all the auctions, from Sotheby's to Phillips to various smaller auction houses in the UK and in Sweden, or wherever. So I'm always looking for stuff, but I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not always like, oh, I have to have that, and and it's always, to me, it's always like, well, it's always a struggle to find the right piece at the right price. Yeah. I mean, I've overpaid for stuff as well, and I've underpaid for stuff. So to me, it all evens out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So the last question isn't actually for myself. It's for probably our viewers. So for somebody just, watching this video and seeing the pieces, what you've shown, and thinking, I really want to get into vintage military collecting, where would you say be a good starting point? Which kind of brands should they be looking at?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, first off, buy what you like, buy what tickles your fancy. Make sure you have a budget. If you go to auction, don't overbid. Don't go crazy and get left out on a limb with a piece that you've overpaid for and then have to sit on for whatever. And don't buy it as an investment, for God's sake. I mean, I know everything's gone up in value and all that stuff, but you really shouldn't. A watch tells the time. That's all it does. It tells the time. So if you buy it from that point of view, then you're left with a watch. I mean, you can use your iPhone to tell the time, but a watch has become, something. It's more like, especially the military stuff, the issue
story behind it. You just tell the story.
Everything speaks to you when you pick it up. It speaks to you. You can feel like where it's been and what it's done, and it's like an old car. It's like buying an old car. It sort of speaks to you, especially when it breaks down. But Yeah, I would, and buy within your budget. You know, find a little brand that no one else. Well, problem with the internet is everything's everywhere, isn't it?
It's all out there now. Yeah.
Yeah,
out
I mean,
there,
there was a time when you could actually go and buy a newspaper called Exchange and Mart, and you could thumb the pages of that.
Yes.
You could
I remember it. Yes, I remember that.
your phone number, and you could call it up.
Yeah.
Ex-Royal Navy dialer has a watch to sell, and you'd
Wow.
call that number, and he'd be up in Aberdeen somewhere, and you'd go up there and figure out how to prize it out of his hands with some coin. But yeah, it's a lot different these days. Definitely different. Yeah,
it's good. It's good and it's bad, isn't it? It's good for the buyer, but then for the seller, or it's good for the seller, but not for the buyer, because the seller can make a hell of a lot of money, but the buyer's gonna have to pay it.
Yeah, I mean, I've sold watches at auction, and they've achieved ridiculous very high estimates. So I'm not complaining, but I don't know where the ceiling is on the vintage stuff is anymore.
Yeah.
When Paul Newman exotic dialed watches go for like $2 million. It's like,
insane.
Yeah.
I don't know where the ceiling is. I don't know. I know all the modern stuff is sliding because it was all overinflated. And, it's more readily available now. People selling, new GMTs for quintuple what they paid for them. But that seems to have, slid.
Yeah.
But I'm not really in that world.
An interesting world you're in, because I said this is why I had to get you on, because you just in the watch world, you're a unique person in the watch world who just
there's a group of people who are like-minded, and their heads might not be above the parapets as mine is. I mean, as I've said, I have friends who deal and collect similar pieces, and their collections are equally enviable. And we all started around the same time. I just carried on with it, really. I buy stuff I like this is a really lovely watch, super patina, I mean, really, like, it's just a regular sub. It's just a 1680, but it's just a full line.
That's my favorite. I've got to say, for me, to me, that's my favorite one so far. They're all beautiful, but just my favorite, personal favorite.
It's a great. It's in great condition. It has great color on the dial, and the bezel's fantastic, and it's just a great. Whoever owned it wore the hell out of it. They used it and they abused it, which is.
And that's what it's for.
Sign of a great watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I think that's a good closing sentiment, right?
Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. Grahame, let's just like to stay with us just where you are, and when we'll have a quick chat when we finish the recording. That's all right.
Sure thing.
Thank you very much. Right, thank you to all people watching. Hope you enjoyed it. It's a real special privilege to have Grahame, and it sits with me well with the military watches. But I know there are a few of you out there are interested as well in military watches. So I hope you enjoyed it. Leave us the comments and everything what you think. Please like and subscribe as normal, and we will see you on the next show. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks to my wonderful panel. Thank you, Palm. Thank you, Batch. And once again, thank you, Grahame, very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
absolute pleasure.
Yep. See you later, everybody.
Bye.